All right, the time is now 6:02, and I'm going to get us started. Ladies and gentlemen who are on the call, thank you so much for being with us and forgive me for not being on camera. I am Tashika Curtis Pugh, Executive Director of the South Carolina Nurses Association. So excited to have you all with us this evening with the South Carolina Student Loan Corporation as we dive more into the BOLD program and other offerings because I know they tend to add a little spice on whatever else we're talking about. I am not going to belabor the time other than to say that we hope that everything you get here, that if you are able to share this information, please share it with your colleagues. We want every nurse to know about what's happening and what's available to you. And please also know that this is in partnership with the South Carolina Nurses Association. We want you to know that we are working on your behalf each and every day, and the work that we do is driven by what you need. And we think that this is important information and it's something that we think everyone will benefit from. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Ms. Destre Capers and leave it in her very capable hands. Ms. Destre, the floor is yours.
Thank you, TK. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. I see a little green square around my name, so I think I'm good. Perfect. Wonderful. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. And this is our second iteration of our four-part webinar series in partnership with South Carolina Nurses Association. And so today's topic is going to be about BOLD. And hopefully you've heard about BOLD, heard some rumblings about BOLD. And we have a couple of different iterations of BOLD. So today we're going to talk about the BOLD Nursing Faculty Loan Program for students who are currently either looking to enroll in a graduate or doctoral program, or you're currently enrolled. If you have already graduated with your graduate degree or your doctoral program, the REFI program, which was webinar 1, is the program that you're going to want to find a little bit more information about to help you get some forgiveness for any loans that you may have taken out. And I'll touch on that just a bit once we hop on the website. And before I get too far into this, you see two faces on the screen right now. You see mine. I am Destre Capers, Director of Marketing and Outreach with South Carolina Student Loan. And with me, I have my newest member, my Outreach Manager, Shaquana Bracey, with me. And so she's going to help me monitor the chat while I'm presenting. So feel free to drop any questions in there. Shaquana, you can interrupt me at any time to make sure I'm answering questions while I'm on a specific slide. Also, I have also put my email at the very top of the chat, just in case you have some additional questions. You can reach out to me directly, and we can schedule a one-on-one session to walk you through any of your personal questions that you may have and you don't feel comfortable asking them while we are recorded. This is a super informal but very informative session, and so I welcome interactions, I welcome questions, and Shaquana is going to help us do all of that today, okay? So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to hop into the BOLD Nursing Faculty Loan Program. All right. So BOLD is a program that South Carolina Student Loan developed about 3 years ago, and we initially started out with partnerships with employers across the state who were looking for certain career pathways that they needed for, of course, their company. Well, along the way, we began to have conversations with the Commission on Higher Education, as well as the Hospital Association. And they worked on this amazing proviso that allows us to do this work today. This program is specifically to increase retention and recruitment for nursing faculty in the state of South Carolina. So we're going to hop into the program, talk about some of the requirements that are connected to it, and of course, drop your questions in the chat as you see fit, and we will address them. So this program specifically, of course, is for those who are already nurses who are pursuing advanced education. So it's either a graduate program or a doctoral program in the state of South Carolina. So in order to participate in this program, you do have to be a U.S. citizen and be enrolled in at least half-time in a graduate level program or a doctoral program. The Commission on Higher Education gives us guidance on what graduate level programs or in doctoral programs would fit the requirement. So if you have any questions about if your program actually meets their requirement, just shoot us a chat or an email on our website and we'll get those questions answered for you. Upon graduating, you are essentially saying that you are willing to work as a nursing faculty member at one of our qualifying employers. So you can either work in a full-time capacity or a part-time capacity, which is great news because the deans at our schools advocated very, very hard to make sure that their adjunct faculty could indeed qualify for this program because without their adjunct faculty, they know that their programs would not be as successful. Adjunct professors are integral to their programs. So we are happy to announce that full-time and part-time faculty members are eligible for this program. And that's upon graduating. While you're enrolled in school, you do have to make satisfactory academic progress. So you may hear your financial aid office or maybe one of our loan advisors call that SAP. It's just an acronym for satisfactory academic progress. Essentially, you are passing your classes with the grades that are needed in order to move towards graduation. You can't be incarcerated, which I know sounds a little silly, but we have to say it. You also cannot be in default of any of your student loan obligations. And if you are in default of any student loan obligations, just give us a call or give your servicer a call so we can or they can guide you on how to put your account back in good standing. And then probably one of the greatest things of all, even though we are a private student loan entity, there is no credit requirement for any of our BOLD programs. So for those who may be rebuilding credit, who've had to file for bankruptcy, life happened, got behind in bills because of COVID, because of life happening, you don't have to worry about being denied because of credit. So this is really supposed to assist those who are already nurses who want to educate future nurses into that nursing faculty position. So while you're enrolled in school, because remember, we are talking about the program that allows you to take out the loan while you're enrolled in the program. The minimum loan amount is going to be $2,000. And the max you can borrow for one academic year is going to be $30,000. And you have up to 3 years that you can borrow $30,000. So that means a total that's currently available to those who are enrolled in the program is $90,000. And I can tell you that we have not yet to find another state that is as generous as South Carolina is being with the BOLD nursing faculty program. So if you're on a part-time basis, most of the time when I've seen part-time programs, it does extend it for one additional year. And so just knowing if you are going to be part-time, this program is for a max of 3 years. So figuring out how to navigate potentially that last year, or maybe you already completed your first year and you just have your 3 years left over, you do still have the ability to utilize this. This program is also not one that requires you to know that you want to do this the very first year you enter into your graduate or doctoral program. You may actually experience something throughout that time frame that solidifies, oh my goodness, I have such a heart for new nurses or developing nurses that now I know in my last 2 years or in my last year, I want to do this program. And that is absolutely fine. And towards the end, once we hop on the website, I will tell you how you can still take advantage of the full $90,000, even if you don't utilize the in-school bowl model until your last year. Keep in mind that your loans cannot exceed the cost of your attendance. So cost of attendance is going to be your direct costs, so your tuition, your fees, as well as living expenses or indirect expenses for your program as well. We do not set what your cost of attendance will be for your programs. That comes from your school's financial aid office. So if you decide that you want to participate in the BOLT program, you will complete your application and then you will send it to your financial aid office. They will calculate all of your other aid. They'll calculate the cost of attendance minus all other aid to figure out if you still have space left for any loans. And if you do, that is the amount that we will send over to your school. So we don't advocate for over borrowing in any of our programs. So this is one of the ways that we help you not to over borrow by not going over the cost of attendance for that academic year and each subsequent year after that. Now, your qualifying employer will be any participating 2 or 4-year public college or university that has you enrolled as a nursing educator. Okay, so whether that's you being a preceptor, whether that's you being a professor and actually, the word is escaping me, but you are teaching in the classroom and not necessarily going into the clinical setting, that either one of those positions will allow you to be qualified as that will qualify you for this program for the forgiveness piece towards it. Currently, it is only for public 2 and 4-year institutions. We've had some conversations with the Commission on Higher Education as well as with the Hospital Association that really did the work on what I would call South Carolina's heel to get this proviso written to say, hey, we have public institutions that also create amazing nurses that stay here in the state that need nursing faculty members as well. So they have to go back and kind of edit that proviso and ask for permission for those private institutions to be incorporated in. But right now, as of today, it is going to be public 2 and 4-year institutions in the state of South Carolina. And I'm sure you've been wondering, well, what does part-time mean? As I mentioned previously, you can actually have a full-time faculty position as well as a part-time faculty member would be qualified to receive the forgiveness connected to this program. So part-time means that you are working at least 500 hours during an academic year. So that academic year is going to be from fall until summer. Now, we do understand that some programs don't operate over the summer, or the way that your contract is written, you do not have to work over the summer. And that is absolutely fine. If you are considered part-time and HR signs off and says you've met your 500-hour criteria, that's all that South Carolina Student Loan and the Commission on Higher Education would need in order to facilitate the forgiveness connected to this program.
Desiree, before
So,
you get started on the next
yes.
slide, I'm sorry. We had a question in the chat box from Vermont. I hope I'm saying your name right. They said, I'm attending Purdue University online and I live in South Carolina. Do I still qualify?
So unfortunately, it is you do have to be attending a South Carolina institution in order to be eligible for the in-school model. Now, with the forgiveness piece, or excuse me, with the refinancing piece, if you graduate, when you graduate, not if, when you graduate from your program at Purdue and you are working at one of those qualifying employers, then you could be eligible for the refinance opportunity once you graduate. But the in-school model, unfortunately, would not fit currently how the proviso is written.
And Latasha said she attends Chamberlain University and she lives in South Carolina. And since they're a private university, does this school qualify for the program?
Yeah, so we fall into the same category as Purdue in that situation as well. So the refinance product, which is structured very similarly to the forgiveness that I'm about to go over, same loan limits, the $90,000, you would potentially be eligible for the refinance opportunity, but currently not for the in-school model while you're enrolled. Okay. Perfect. So I want to talk a little bit about the forgiveness. Those were all great questions. So how does forgiveness work? So there are a lot of different programs. There are a lot of different programs out there that provides opportunities for forgiveness. So in the state of South Carolina, how the proviso is currently written is that for each year that you receive loan assistance, you would be required to work 2 years to receive forgiveness. So that means that if you received a loan for all 3 years, you would need to work for 6 years in order to have that completely forgiven. Now, the good thing is you don't necessarily need to work all of your years in one lump sum before the forgiveness begins, okay? So let's just say you're working at Midlands Technical College, you work there for 2 years, you will get a pay down at the end of that first 2 years. And then let's just say you have an opportunity to work at another public institution, let's just say USC. I'm in Columbia. I'm just using places right down the road from me. And so now you finish out your last 4 years at USC, you will receive forgiveness at the end of your second year, your fourth year, and your sixth year if you actually took out all 3 years of loans connected to it. So it's not connected to the amount that you borrowed, it's connected to how many years you borrowed. So if you borrowed for 1 year, you need to work 2 years. If you borrowed for 2 years, you need to work 4 years. If you borrowed 3 years, then you need to work 6 years.
Hey, girl.
Now, while you are enrolled in your program, you are not required to make any, let me go back. You are not required to make any payments, okay? And then once you finish your program and you are enrolled, and you are employed by your employer, you will go into deferment. So we're going to go over like, how do we know when you're employed and how does that deferment get applied to your account? In the meantime, while you are looking for your employment, you do have a 6-month grace period or 180 days where you are not required to make a payment once you finish your program. So essentially, you'll do your entire program. You'll have 6 months of grace period before any type of payment is due. And then once you find your employment within that 6-month time frame, you will go into deferment, which is going to be connected to a form that we talk about a little bit later, okay? So as I mentioned previously, after your 2 years, we will verify your employment, and then the Commission on Higher Education will not just pay down your principal, but they will also pay down your interest connected to that principal amount. So your principal is the exact amount that you borrowed. So let's just say you borrowed the full $30,000, and then the interest is going to be accruing on that, and the Commission on Higher Education will pay down that interest as well. So if you indeed are in that first example that I gave, you borrowed all 3 years, so you know you need to work for 6 years in order for it to be fully forgiven. The Commission on Higher Education will actually pay the $90,000, up to the $90,000 plus any interest connected to it. Okay.
We had another question.
Okay.
Yesterday. Karanda said, I hope I'm saying your name right. I am currently working on a doctorate in NE certification at a public institution. Do I qualify?
If your public institution is in the state of South Carolina, yes. Just based upon the preliminary information that I have, I'm not sure what those letters meant. So forgive me.
Yes, that is
Okay.
in South Carolina.
Okay. So if your public institution is in South Carolina, then yes, it sounds like you would qualify for this program to help you pay for your education while you're currently enrolled. And then your forgiveness portion will start once you exit your program, once you graduate from your program.
She said NE stands for Nurse Educator Certification.
I think you're good to go. As long as they classify that as a graduate or a doctoral program, you should be good to go. Okay. All great questions. All righty, so we talked a little bit about the grace period there. So that's the repayment portion. And what I want to talk about right now is, what if life is amazing for you? You graduate from your program and you have an amazing opportunity in Washington, D.C. to have your dream job, whatever that may be, and you've already taken out this loan. So if that were to happen at any point of time after you've already taken out the loan, you as the nurse educator who borrowed the funds, you would be responsible for paying any of the remaining balance that the commission has not paid out. The interest rate would be a fixed interest rate of 7% that you would pick up. So let me give an example. again, you started out working at Midlands Tech, everything's going great, you got this amazing opportunity, you got married and you moved across the country, or you moved down the street and you just decided not to be a nursing faculty member anymore. Whatever it is, we know it's going to be good and it's not going to be anything bad. And so you're no longer meet the qualifications as a nursing faculty member anymore, that at least part-time position working 500 hours, you then would go back into repayment. The good news is that if you worked for your first 2 years, and let's just say you had to work for that full 6 years and the commission already paid for those first 2 years, that first iteration, you don't have to worry about paying that back because the state received their service on the front end and they're going to pay on the back end of your service. So you would be left with any remaining balance for those last 4 years, and it would be over a 10-year time frame versus the 6-year time frame that the Commission on Higher Education is looking at. So we know that everyone who enrolls in this program may not actually work as a nursing faculty member their entire time, but we also want you to be aware that there are ways that you can exit and say, okay, I can't do nursing faculty right now because X, Y, and Z. But the good news is the commission has said, well, if you have to take a break for any reason or you're not working for a qualified employer, but then come back and start working for a qualified employer, they are willing to pick up where they left off. So let's just say you're working at Midlands Tech, you get married, you move to California for a year, you come back, and now you're back at Midlands Tech. Anything that you paid for that year while you were gone is going to be deducted from your principal and your interest. But when you come back working for that qualifying employer, the commission said, okay, they're back working for a qualified employer. We're going to put that person back into deferment, and their 2-year time frame is going to start again. At the end of those 2 years, we will pay a portion, and then they work another 2 years, we'll finish paying it off. So there is an opportunity or a possibility that you may work as a faculty member and then leave and then come back, or maybe when you graduated, you couldn't get that job immediately and you have to make some payments, but then finally you get that employment with the qualifying employer. The Commission on Higher Education will indeed pick up, so you receive the rest of your forgiveness. And I think I saw some questions come in. Am I correct?
It was just one that said, please provide us more information about the refinance process and how to apply.
Okay, so we did a session. Our first session was on the refinance process. I am going to touch on it just a little bit when we get to the website so you at least know where to find it. TK, you're going to have to remind me, did we post that on YouTube or did we email that out to everyone after the first session? So we'll make sure we get that answer from TK before we end the session today. So we are going to hop onto the website right now. So I am going to click on the website and I'm going to drop it in the chat. Hold on, I got to find the chat. Oh, let me stop sharing. Okay, there it is. Because I know sometimes it's easier to follow along. So you should see it in the chat now. All right. Hold on. Let me move stuff out the way. Oh. Okay. So this is the website, and I'm going to back out of how I got here because what I dropped in the chat is the direct link to where the nursing faculty page is. But let's just say you just type in SE student loan and you're like, I don't know where to get to the nursing faculty program. So you're actually going to go click on career pathways on the right-hand side. And it's going to give you 3 options here. And so the first one is where you're going to want to click Bolt Nursing Faculty Loans. We also have teacher loan forgiveness, which is different from nursing faculty. That is for the K-12 system. And then we have our Bolt Career Pathways, and that is the traditional Bolt program where we partner with other employers who are looking for a specific pathway. Where you all will want to be, whether it's refinance or the in-school option, is going to be on the nursing faculty, which will bring you to this page here. On this page, you will find information about the refinance program, as well as the currently enrolled in-school option as well. So because we are on the in-school option, I'm going to show you that application first, and then I will go and quickly review the refinance application as well. So it is going to open into a separate tab so you don't lose where you are on the website. And I'm going to make this bigger because I wear glasses and this is already too small for me. Okay. So currently, it has a couple of pages. It's about 8 pages long, and so we would encourage you to read through this. But I'm gonna briefly go over the sections because it's pretty much reiterating what I've already said. But you have your eligibility criteria here. You have some important definitions. So qualifying employer, enrolled period, grace period, repayment period, deferment, all important terminology that if you don't work in this industry, you may want to read through. The interest rate is fixed and it will be disclosed when you received your approval disclosure. So your approval disclosure or your notice of loan approval will come to you. And so we've had some questions when it comes to some people say, well, oh my gosh, it's saying I have a loan. You indeed will have a loan that has your name on it, but it does have the option to have the forgiveness piece to it. So I just want to let you all know that it will come to you and it will say you have a loan, but it does have the forgiveness still connected to it, okay? Then you have your loan amounts here. So the minimum loan amount, as I mentioned before, is $2,000, but you can borrow up to $30,000 per academic year for a max of 3 years. So an aggregate maximum loan amount is going to be $90,000. It goes into the forgiveness piece that we talked about as well. So you will need to work 2 years with a max of 6 years to receive the full 90,000 if that is indeed what you take out. I don't think I've seen anybody take out a full 90,000 for their in-school option, but I will say this program launched a year ago, a year and a half ago. So we still may have some individuals who had just started their program and they aren't in their 3rd year just yet. But we would still encourage you to be fiscally responsible, even though there is an option for forgiveness. And then we get into the form. So make sure that you provide your full legal name. And make sure that in the section, specifically for the promise to pay section, you actually use wet ink and do not type that section. Any other section can be typed, but that one line absolutely has to be signed with a wet signature. And that's for the purposes of fraud. If we need to compare signatures at some point, we want to have a wet signature versus an electronic signature to be able to compare and contrast. Okay, so the very first page that you're going to be writing on is just a basic demographic page. All of this information should be readily available to you. You answer number 9 as accurately as you know how. Your loan requested period. If you're currently enrolled in school, I want you to think of it as an academic year. So some graduate and doctoral programs may not start in the fall. You may have started in January, or you may have started over the summer. Depending on your program, that might be May or June. In the world of academia, when we think about loan requested period, we're thinking about academic year. So that means that if you indeed started this summer That is the end of the 24-25 academic year. So your loan request period, let's just say you do need some funding for the summer, will be when your term started at the beginning of this summer, let's just say June of 25, and the end of summer is going to be at the top of August. Then you will put 0625 to 0825 and your anticipated graduation date. Okay. Now, of course, you're going to need some additional money in the fall once your fall term starts. And so here, if you're starting at the top of the school year, then you indeed could put August 2025 through, let's just say, July of 2026, if you know that your program goes through the summer. So that way they know that they're looking to provide a disbursement in the fall, spring, and summer. Okay. Now, this promise to pay section is where you're going to put how much money you want for that academic year. And what I would suggest is if you're not quite sure how much you may need, you absolutely could put the max, which is the $30,000 for an academic year. Now, if you're looking at a summer term, I don't recommend you put down the full $30,000 for the summer term, because that may lead to some over borrowing. But if you're looking at the full academic year or 2 semesters in an academic year, you absolutely could put the full $30,000. So not 90 right here, but 30,000 is the max that you could put here. And each academic year that you are looking to enroll, you will need to complete a new application. We don't assume that you, one, want the money or need the money in each academic year. You actually have to tell us that you want to use some additional BOLD money each academic year, and then we will gladly process. Here is where you will actually put your wet signature with an ink pen here. You'll repeat your social and your legal name at the top of the next page, which is page 4. And then section 3 is where your financial aid office will complete this section, okay? So really, all that you all are doing for the in-school application is sections 1, the promise to pay section, and then section 2. Section 3 is going to be your financial aid office, and please make sure that you provide them with the original copy of your document, because they will then submit it to our office. And I'm going to pause there because I see some chats popping up. Do we have any questions?
There are 3 questions. The first question said, if you have already served as an adjunct faculty in the past, can that time be counted even before applying to the program?
Unfortunately not. This program is looking to retain or to increase nursing faculty members. So they would want you to be committing to future time frame versus past time that you've already worked as a faculty member.
The second question says, can you utilize both the refi option as well as the in-school option?
Absolutely, you absolutely can. So let's just say you're in your last year or last semester and you only get that $30,000. You absolutely can use the other 60 in the refi model to get up to your 90,000.
And the last one says, is there a list of qualifying schools to teach at?
Yes. So after I finish with this application, I will hop back over on the website and you will see a list of qualifying employers and qualifying schools as well. So, okay.
Another one just came in.
Okay,
It said,
yeah.
if you were to enroll for a summer start program and then only receive funding for 1 semester, would you still owe 2 years service for that 1 semester?
You would. So one thing you could do if you're like, well, gosh, I only got $6,000 for that 1 semester because my program started that semester. You could ask for the full $30,000 if your financial aid office says we have to decrease it because of your cost of attendance and what's left over. We do have to decrease it. But what I would say is what you could do is hold some of that money to help pay for future semesters or living expenses so that you would take advantage of the full amount that's available to you so you don't feel like you left any money on the table. That is an option for you to do. I will tell you that a lot of the faculty members that I have spoken to, like current faculty members, they're like, I already know I'm here. I've been here. I don't mind working for the time frame because this is where I plan to retire. However, for my students who are currently enrolled in school, sometimes it's not as clear as if I'm sure I want to be a nursing faculty member for until I retire, but it's something that I do have a passion about. So it is something that you would have to consider. So that's why I think one of the things that I like about this program is if you're not sure that first semester, let's just say that summer semester that you actually want to be a nursing faculty member, and then you say towards the end of your program, your last year and a half, 2 years, you're like, okay, yes, I'm solidified. As someone previously asked, you can absolutely refinance whatever you took out that summer term or that year and a half that you weren't sure, or the 2 years you weren't sure, or maybe all 3 or 4 years you weren't sure. You can still refinance that on the back half if you have not borrowed your full $90,000. Okay. So in this section, your financial aid office will complete this section for us. They are very familiar with this document. If they have any questions, they know how to contact our loan advisors so we can make sure that we are actually sending the money to the school, because the money does go directly to the school. We only have educational loans, so loans will not come directly to you as a consumer. It goes to your school. Once all of your direct expenses are taken care of, the additional funding left over can come back to you as a refund check to help you with those indirect expenses. So living expenses, food, if you have car issues, those types of things that are a laptop, things that you would need in order to be successful in school. And then they will sign, date, and provide this application back to us. And that's the end. There's literally 2 pages that actually that you all would need to fill out. And then half of the second page, if not a little bit more, is for the financial aid office. The rest of the pages, that was a little country, pages 5 through 8 will be more information about the refinance loan program. So I would encourage you to read through that, because again, if you don't work as a nursing faculty member, you would want to make sure that you understand or have already asked any additional questions connected to either the forgiveness, or if I need to um, stop out of my program. How do I do that? All of that is going to be in pages 5 through 8. So make sure you read through pages 5 through 8. Your financial aid office will actually submit all 8 pages to us. And then we will image that and begin to process it. Our processing time, once we receive it and everything is correct, is typically within 5 to 7 business days. And then just depending on when your school has asked for the disbursement dates, we will send the money to the school based upon the disbursement dates. And then and then they will go through their regular refund process that they have for any other loan product or any other scholarships where they're refunding funds to the student. So that is the in-school application. So before I go to the refi application, I do want to show where the deferment form is, okay? So typically you will get some type of communication from us that says, hey, it's time for you to complete your deferment form. So at the very top of our page, on any of our landing pages, you will see forms. You click on forms and you will see the in-school bold nursing faculty loan deferment form. Let's make this bigger as well. And your deferment means you are saying that you are currently working as a nursing faculty member, and once we apply the deferment, you do not pay anything for that time frame. So basic information at the top. We want to know what school that you're currently working for and the dates that you plan to work there, and then the forgiveness there as well, so we can confirm that with the HR department. And then the HR department will actually certify the information here. So they'll complete these 3 questions, provide their demographic information, and they will return it to us in order to process your deferment and or any forgiveness connected to it. And just be reminded that forgiveness happens for every 2 years that you work. So essentially you would not be making any payments during that 2-year time frame. At the end of the 2 years, then CHE will receive an invoice for the first third of your loan that you took out. Okay. All right, so I'm back on the nursing faculty page, and we are going to go through the nursing faculty refi application, which is going to be located right next to the in-school option. Okay, so we tried to color code it to make it as clear as possible. One is for refinancing for current faculty members. The other one is going to be for in-school students in the red. Did I see a question come in?
It was just
No,
some
ma'am,
links.
that's me. I'm just putting in links for the next 2 webinars. Just
Oh,
don't mind me.
gotcha. Okay. So you can click on the application here. Information about the different programs will be below. So just make sure you're looking at the right drop down for the program you're looking at. So the current nursing faculty is on top, and the in-school program is below. So for the refi program, you have to be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident. You have to be in grace or post-enrollment. So that means that if you are in a deferment status, if you are in a forbearance status, if you're in a grace status, all of those count as eligible enrollment statuses for this program. So we've had a lot of faculty members say that, the federal government's doing this thing and they've put me on hold. They put me in a deferment. I didn't ask to be put in a deferment. That is a qualifying status for this program. You can indeed refinance federal loans as well as other private loans, including South Carolina traditional student loans, into this program up to the $90,000. So into this program, it will cover any of the principal and the interest up to the $90,000. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in just a moment. To keep in mind that this is just for graduate level loans only. So it has to be graduate levels or higher. No undergraduate loans can be utilized in this program. And that's because the in-school model does not include undergraduate loans. And so they're trying to make this as apples to apples as possible. They meaning the Commission on Higher Education. You do have to be the named borrower. So if you're a co-signer, it wouldn't work. But if someone co-signed on your loan, but you are the borrower, that would still work. You can't be in default on any eligible education loans. And again, if you have questions about if your status is in default or not, definitely reach out to your servicer to figure out how to get in good standing. Because oftentimes it's a simple phone call to say, this is a hardship time for me. Can you put me in a deferment or a forbearance for a certain amount of time, versus just avoiding not paying on it to make sure that you stay in good standing. And then you have to be willing to work for at least those 500 hours. So again, full-time, part-time, in a nursing faculty position, and you cannot be incarcerated. And then I'm going to hop into the application.
Desiree, while that's loading, we had a question pop up.
Sure.
It said, how about if the graduate loan was for a non-South Carolina school?
We don't get that granular. We, meaning the commission, does not get that granular. We see a loan servicer and a loan, and we have not gotten that granular. I will say that. So that's why I was saying for those that are currently enrolled in an online program that may be out of the state, the refinance option would probably be a better option for you if you know that you want to be a nursing faculty member. Okay. So the eligibility criteria, really, we just went over that. It gives you the same definitions as previously on the other application for the in-school model. One of the differences here is that the minimum loan amount is going to be $5,000. I will tell you that our nursing faculty, they're nowhere near just utilizing the $5,000. So just note that for the in-school model, your minimum is $2,000, refinance, your minimum is $5,000. And then the maximum will be the $90,000, just like the in-school model. All right, so the forgiveness operates the same way. You have to work for 2 years so actually, let me say that differently. For every $30,000 that you borrow in the refinance program, you would need to work for 2 years, okay? So if you have $45,000 worth of debt, then you would need to work for a total of 4 years to have that total completely paid off. If you have $67,000 worth of debt, then you would need to work a total of 6 years to have that completely paid off. So for every $30,000 that you borrow, you will have to work 2 years for the forgiveness. And we have a couple of sections on here where we actually want wet signatures again. So just keep that in mind, and I'll point those out when we get to those on the application. The portion of the application starts on page 4, where you're actually filling information out, and it looks pretty much similar as the in-school model. One of the things I want to point out here is that the application, we are requesting that you provide your loan statements with it, because we need to know on the loan level, and there's a section for you to fill that out, and what order you want to fill it out. We need to have those copies because it will have the information we need on there to follow up with the servicer if we have any additional questions. So demographic information, once again, the promise to pay section, you can put the full 90,000 here if you don't know what your payoff amount will be. So this can also cover multiple years of your program. So let's just say you're enrolled in that part-time doctoral program for 4 years. And then you know you have $90,000 worth of debt or $75,000 worth of debt. The amount that you borrowed versus the payoff amount will be completely different. And we'll talk about that in a second as well. So most of the nursing faculty members here, I would say put the max of 90,000. There again is no over borrowing. So once we get all your statements in and do all the calculations, and you only have 37,000, but you put down 90 at this part right here on the promise to pay, we will only allow you to borrow what it actually takes for you to pay off that loan with that lender. You won't get a refund check in this model, okay? And I saw a couple of communications. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
No, you're good.
Okay, perfect. And so on the second page or the 5th page where you're actually filling out information, this is where you're actually going to put your lender's information. And the important thing here, yes, you are going to be providing your statements, your payoff statements, but you need to list the order in which you want us to pay off those loans. Okay, so some things that you may want to consider and think about here is how much is the principal, the amount of the principal. So you might go with the one that has the largest principal, or you might go with the one that has the largest interest rate, right? So you would have to sit down with those statements if you have different lenders to figure out, if I know I have more than $90,000, what do I want them to pay off first? And you will list it in that order. So you have 3 sections here. And then on page 10, I believe, you have 3 more sections there. Now, if you need another page, you can photocopy or print out another page so that you can list as many as you need. The loan is going to be paid off at the loan level, which is probably a little bit in the weeds for you all, but it's going to be important because your lender may actually have 4 different loans with that one lender. We will need you to list out each loan separately, again, because we pay it off at the loan level and not at the lender level. Another difference here is that the deferment form is connected to this application. So we have to confirm and verify that you are working with an employer, qualifying employer, before we can process your application. This deferment form on your refinance will allow us to do that because it actually has to go to your human resources office for them to confirm that you are full-time, part-time, or not, and then they will sign as well. So anywhere where it's asking for a signature, we ask that you put a wet signature. Everywhere else, you can type it in. So that does also include the HR department for them to actually sign with a wet signature here as well. So that's quickly the refinance program. It runs pretty similarly to the in-school model, but again, because this is South Carolina money, they are trying to keep the funding in the state of South Carolina, which is why some of those online schools aren't currently eligible, but could be eligible for the refinance program because you're working in South Carolina. And so now they're like, okay, we want to hold on to this nursing faculty member, and this is a way for us to do it.
We had
So
a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Desiree.
I was just going to say, so both of those applications are on the website.
We had one question in the chat box. They said, does this program have a planned expiration date?
It doesn't have a planned expiration date. I will tell you that there's 3 years of funding, and each year came with about $5 million. And currently, we have probably just reached our first 5 million after about 2 years. So there's still funding available. If you're still trying to make some decisions on if this program is the one that you want to go with, what I can't guarantee is that, let's just say you're enrolled in a program and you're not quite sure if you want to be a nursing faculty member, and then 5 years from now you come back. I can't guarantee the funding would be there, but there currently isn't an expiration date. Because this is a proviso, it has to be put into the budget each year. And so for the past 3 years, they have funded it. And the advocacy work from the commission and from the hospital association, they do all that work with our legislators to re-up the proviso. And so I have not heard if they are or are not going to provide the additional money this year, but I would say there's still approximately 10 grand floating around out there. Excuse me.
Desiree,
10
can I,
million. Yes, ma'am.
can I interject? This is TK. I just wanted to say,
Absolutely.
so it was in the budget for this
Mhm.
year. It looks good in the budget this year. We
Mhm.
did advocate for it again, and we're actually already having conversations with the hospital association as well as ourselves. Our lobbyists actually met today, along with myself and the CEO from the hospital association, to go ahead and plan for how to get this money next year. So we're gonna keep pushing for it.
Awesome. Perfect.
And Samika just asked, was it recorded? Yes, it is. We'll get it up as soon as we can, but enjoy all you can and ask all your questions while you're on.
Perfect.
And there was another question. It says, is there a risk of the funding drying up while a person is still doing their terms of service? Once accepted, is there a guarantee?
So we've had questions with the Commission on Higher Education about their forgiveness and kind of allocating that money. And I'm going to be honest, I cannot remember the decision on that. So let me take that back as a question to get clarity on before I provide it. And then I will email TK with that clarification unless it came up in her discussions to get today. But I can't remember off the top of my head. So I would take that as a takeaway for me unless TK has something to add.
No, it did not come up today
Okay.
with regard to it. funding going away during the time your loan repayment is coming back. But as soon as I find out, once Destrey sends me that information, I'll look to see who asked that, and we'll get you that information.
Perfect. Perfect. Again, I will say that 10 million doesn't sound like a lot, and it sounds like a lot at the same time. And I will say that we typically have more faculty members utilizing the refinance model than the in-school model. And so I feel comfortable in saying that I'm not concerned about money drying up for a couple of years. But again, if we get an influx of individuals who want to leverage and utilize this, then it's possible. But I will definitely take that as a takeaway, and I'll get in contact with Corey. Great questions. And I know someone asked about participating schools, and so I just want to make sure you all know where to find that on the website as well. Again, we're on the Career Pathways Bold Nursing Faculty page. If you scroll down closer to the bottom of the page, you will see the participating schools for current nursing faculty members. So that is going to be all of our public universities and colleges across the state of South Carolina that has nursing programs. Okay. And there's more qualifying employers than there are schools that have qualified programs. So there are about 11 institutions across the state currently that qualifies for their graduate or their doctoral programs. If you don't see your school listed here, and they are in the state of South Carolina and they are a South Carolina institution, public institution, just shoot me an email. Again, my email was at the top of the chat, and I'm sure it's probably a very long chat by now, so I'll drop it in there again and let me know so I can have a conversation with Corey when I'm asking the other question, because again, they are the ones that will approve or deny programs as well as institutions.
We had another question. She said, do we need to have employment before we apply as faculty?
If you are doing the refinance program, yes, you will need to be employed with that employer. If you are in school, you do not have to currently be working at an institution. And when I was having some conversations with some schools, when the in-school model first came out, let's just say you go to MUSC, you do not have to work at MUSC, even though you graduated from MUSC. You can work at any of those public institutions across the state of South Carolina. So you're not locked into the school that you attended. And that was a question that came up a lot for the in-school model. Thank you, Shaquana, for dropping my email back in the chat. Y'all have good questions. Keep them coming. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. So I'm going to drop one other link into the chat, or maybe Shaquana, you can do that for me. But the college giveaway, can you drop that in the chat for us? South Carolina Student Loan has a college giveaway for students who are enrolled in higher education programs. So currently it is $2,500 that we give away to 2 lucky winners every single month. It's a random drawing, and it is available for students who are currently juniors in high school all the way up to our doctoral programs. And I'll tell you, I don't have a lot of college students or graduate students actually entering to win. Lots of high school seniors, which is typically who we're talking to, but you all are absolutely eligible. And if you don't want to enter, but you have a student who is a junior or a senior in high school, or maybe a college student, they can enter to win as well. And as their parent, you can help them win and enter to win as well. So I know our next 2 webinars we're going to kind of shift our conversation a little bit to talk a little bit more about students versus about you specifically. So stay tuned for that. But it's always our pleasure to come and talk. I think Shaquana and I can talk all things financial aid and paying for college because we are so passionate about providing good, accurate information to help people navigate how to pay for college. It's an investment and it can be pricey, but there are some really strategic and cool ways out there for you all to navigate this process. You do not need to be in a full-time teaching position as a nursing faculty. You can be part-time. 500 hours is the minimum hours that you would need. And how that correlates at your college or university, I'm not exactly sure, but I think TK said at the before everybody hopped in, that's about a day a week potentially. But you would definitely want to speak with your dean or HR about what that how to make sure you get your 500 hours so you can get that forgiveness. So we
If you think,
literally,
I'm sorry, I
no, go ahead.
apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. So if you think about it, full-time work is 2,080 hours for the year. So part 500 hours is a quarter of that. So those of you who work 40 hours a week, just look at that from that perspective. So from a faculty standpoint, you're talking about 1 day a week. If you're doing part-time faculty, usually about 2 classes. And that's what I got from the deans that I spoke with.
Perfect. TK, this is why we need you on to talk the language of, of faculty members because unfortunately I don't have that language just yet. But don't worry, I learned by osmosis, so I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it at some point.
No worries. We in this thing together and I'm learning too.
Yes, yes. So we had a question. Um, I'm not sure what MUHA is. Can you either come off mute or tell me what that is? I know you said it's not the university side, but again, if I need to take a question back to Corey, I want to make sure that I have good, accurate information. So you can either email it to me or you can come off mute or drop it in the chat here and we'll grab it.
I don't know if they can come off the chat because it's a
Okay.
webinar, so if they can just
Okay.
drop it in the bottom, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so you can work part-time for 6 years and get the full $90,000 taken care of. You would not have to pay anything out of pocket as long as you maintained at least a part-time position as a nursing faculty member at one of the qualifying employers.
Go get the money, go get the money.
And so it's a great opportunity for those who still want to be bedside with patients and you still have that passion. If you can manage the two, then you can absolutely have your cake and eat it too and get that full 90,000 taken care of and you wouldn't be paying anything out of pocket. Okay, so Shaquana, can you copy and paste that for me so I can, I'm going to take that question back to Corey and just get clarification. And then do we have your email also? Or I'll just email it all to TK, Christine, and hopefully it'll get to you. We'll have your name and we'll make sure you get that answer to make sure. I can make an assumption, but I don't want to make an assumption. You know what they say about assumptions. So
Can I just interject again and just say anyone, if you are under a different name, because maybe someone shared this link with you, please put your name in the chat. Please put your email in the chat, especially if you have questions, so that I can make sure that the answer goes to the right person. I also asked in the chat, and some of you may have came in later, please, if you enjoyed today's session, if you want to share the information, please put a post on our Facebook page, send it to me in email, executive director@stnurses.org. Just let us know how this webinar was for you, if it was what you needed, if it was beneficial, and then also anything else that you'd like to see moving forward.
awesome. So we had a question come in. So let me try to get your name without it. Latasha. Yes. Okay. So Latasha, so for your MSN, you are correct right now because it's a non-South Carolina school, you wouldn't be eligible. But like you mentioned in your comment, yes, your DMP could use Bold to take care of the cost of that program for sure. And Dean Andrews is a big advocate for this program. Have lots of faculty members and nursing students there that are currently leveraging it and utilizing it. So they are familiar with this program. So you could absolutely do that. I want to make sure the way that I scroll on this chat is, it goes by fast. Oh, there's another Capers on the line. Hello. Are we cousins? Okay. All right. All hearts and minds clear for
Come
right
on,
now.
church. I said to in church. All hearts. Come on, church. Again, thank you, Destre. Thank you, Shaquana. I see hearts. I see claps. I see all the things. Thank y'all for being here with us. Thank you for partnering with the South Carolina Nurses Association. It means so, so much to me. And I see all this great love in the chat and everything. So I know that this has been great. So please, everyone, contact us if you have any questions. Make sure that you email us if you have, if we don't have your contact, and let us know how this was. And Destre and Shaquana, will I see you in July as well?
Yes, ma'am, you will.
Okay. See you both in July. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. Have a
You're
good night.
welcome. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.